Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Is Hers, a space where women share their own stories of trusting their voice and achieving success while being truly themselves. I'm Yev, and today we are diving into a story that's equal parts ambition, courage, and radical honesty. My guest today is Shannon Vettes, CEO of CPO of Usersnap, a product leader who has spent 2 decades building incredible products and operations. She's an unapologetically honest thinker and a mentor who shows up for women in the way that matters. Hi, Shannon.
I thank you so much for that very kind intro. I feel very seen in my personal goals. That's what I try to do and who I try to be. So to hear you say that and reflect that back to me is very meaningful. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, for those meeting you for the first time, how would you like to introduce yourself?
So I am a lot of things. Obviously, I'm very passionate about product. I love product. I'm also an American expat living just outside of Paris. I'm a mom of two, and now I have two dogs, one of whom is chewing something on my lap right now. Hopefully, he will behave. And if he doesn't, then you'll get to say hi to him, and that'll be fine. So I'm first and foremost, all those things to my family and my friends. And in my professional life, I like to think of myself as someone who doesn't always play by the rules, which maybe harms me more than it helps me, to be honest, in this area. But I really want to be true to my own thinking and true to the evidence that I'm getting. I want to build things that matter. And that's really how I've tried to steer my career, and it hasn't been a direct track. It's taken a lot of turns actually, into different fields, but all of these things just help me in my work today and really make it easier for me to be more cross-functionally aware and sensitive and empathetic. So I think all of those experiences in support and CS and sales and consulting and program and all the other work that I have done, even engineering and design, have made me a more well-rounded PM today. So no regrets on this winding path, even though it was very unconventional. And I think I'm the better for it today. And I really appreciate all that those works have taught me. So that's who I am, very cross-functionally minded and very empathetic and team first, people first leader, and try to build product through evidence. I think that's the summary.
Yeah, thank you. It sounds great. So, what's the work mission or your focus these days?
Right now, my big passion, I feel extremely lucky. I get to talk to product people about products all day long, and I love it so much. I'm having so much fun. I love our team. I love our product even more now. We really pivoted it in the last year. And so now we're out of surface level issues and to very deep issues, very big problems. It feels amazing to be leading user interviews and have some of these product team members say, wow, I can see you have built this for product people. That to me is the biggest compliment that anyone could give a product ops tool like ours. So I feel really good about where we are. And my big focus right now is very much centralizing workflow and centralizing data. I think product managers suffer and toil and are in pain because we have to go to every single team member and we have to go to every single stakeholder and we have to go cross functional. And there are many data points. It just takes an incredible amount of energy and time to try to synthesize all of that. And we got a really good engine for finding insight. And now our big thing is now let's take all the sources and pull all this data analysis together into one place and centralize that workflow and also streamline that workflow. There's too much. Some of these tools, I think, honestly, have over architected. You don't need 50 features. You just need 5 good ones that get the job done. So that's what we're really interested in doing. And I think we're getting there. Feel really good about it.
Great. Honestly, when I saw you joining Usersnap, I thought that, it's such a right fit for you. Building product for product, it makes a lot of sense for you, for your profile and what you bring.
Yeah, I felt extremely honored and extremely lucky to get this chance. I hadn't done a CEO or any C-level role before. So obviously, like, there's a big learning curve and I am learning a lot and I'm making a lot of mistakes. But I really feel like it's the right fit for me right now because this has always been my big passion, this process, the way that we make decisions and make them better, make them easier, make them faster make them more impactful. This has always been something that in the background I've been very, very focused on. So to get to bring that focus into my daily work and my deep knowledge on all the mistakes that I have made as a product person and all the mistakes that I am making now as a product leader and being able to solve those products, it just feels like I get to scratch my own itch every day. It's great.
What was your first big ambition?
I think probably when, I mean, it's a tie. When I moved to France and I started my own business, like conceiving, building, launching, measuring websites, one person shop, like this was a big ambition. I was in my early 20s. I was not very good at it, which is okay because it was 20 years ago. It's all right. But yeah, there was a lot of learning curve there. And I think it taught me a lot about all the different roles. And I gained a lot of respect for all those roles and how they work together. And maybe the other one that I'm kind of tied for, maybe my first big leadership management role, which was when I was working for Blue Spark. And we grew the company just like from me and two other people, the founder and an engineer, to like 30 people in a year and a half. And it's just a huge growth trajectory and a lot of learning happened there about ops and how to lead these large scale projects while still doing maintenance and platform work while still making time for training. So it was a lot of management skills gained and a lot of ops skills gained. And I feel like that was a really great opportunity and a great challenge. And actually got to groom one of my really good friends as a replacement for me. And it was great for her career too. So I do feel like working in startups, leading startups is such an opportunity to gain deep product knowledge because you kind of have to be multitasking. You have to do a lot of different things and you get exposed to a lot of different pain points. So when you have that deep understanding, it really makes it easier to do product work somewhere else where like, I only have to do one job here. Cool. Everything else looks easy by comparison.
Yeah, for sure. Was there an I don't belong moment for you sometime in your life or career?
This is a funny question. I feel like saying, is there a moment where I felt like I did belong? That's maybe the better question. I feel like at Usersnap, I really feel like I belong. It's just been such a welcoming community SaaS group. They help me so much and they encourage me so much. And I feel like at Usersnap, I really lucked out with an amazing team that just has awesome personalities. It's just a good group and a good set of talents. We can do a lot together. So this to me feels like belonging where I can set a culture tone. This feels really good. I don't have to make it political at all. I can give people the opportunities that they seek. I can grow the company in the direction that we agree on together. And I make space, especially for people to disagree and to really tell me that I'm wrong and why I'm wrong. And this has been super helpful in finding the right direction for a product, especially the technical scoping of the product. So I feel like this is maybe the first time that I'm like fully in a sense of belonging for the first time, which is a little like I'm hearing myself say that and going, wow, it's a really long time to be in this world and not ever feel like I have my place in it. The time when I felt the least like I was in my place was maybe consulting work. It was tough. I just didn't like the egos and the brown nosing that came along with that role. It was so much of like having to tell people what they wanted to hear, not what they needed to hear. And that's not really my jam. So I felt very outside of my comfort zone in some of those spaces because it was just only about telling them, yes, you're right. And like watching them fall on their face and just be like, they're not. Like, how do I tell them they're not without these very fragile egos getting bruised? I like to be honest. It's not really helpful in that field. I may hate one more thing. Like working in engineering can be very difficult as a bubbly, smiley, blonde girl. This is not a comfort zone at all. I wish I could say I recommend it, but I don't. um, it was very uncomfortable for me, and I really struggled a lot with legitimacy.
I hear it a lot actually that engineering being mostly male dominated makes like an entry point complicated.
Yeah, I mean, you're very other, you know. wasn't an engineering person forever. Had a very short engineering career. Most of my career was in product and leadership. So that already is very other. And then to be a woman, like just not into soccer, dudes. I'm sorry. Not into it. It's not my thing. So I can't sit around the coffee table with you and talk soccer for 25 minutes. Like I'm not going to do it. And so then you lose your opportunities because a lot of those folks like only have two or three things that they're really passionate about talking to people about that allows you to build rapport. And it was really difficult for me to find my in. And then of course, like team building exercises between all male teams with one woman are very different and very physical. And I felt so outsider and so uncomfortable in those situations. Things that are meant to bring the team together made me feel completely apart from everybody else in those all male teams, especially. Just super uncomfortable. And there's nothing I can do about it either. Like, I couldn't say, I hate your idea. Can you do something else? Because then I'm labeling even more other and even more unacceptable. Like, everybody else is excited. What's wrong with you? Yeah, that was really tough. So I think engineering is a hard space for women, hard to connect because there's just not a lot of openness to connecting to the feminine. Like it's just not really there in my experience. And I hope that that changes, is all I can say. We need more women leaders in tech.
Yeah, for sure.
See that change.
Was there someone who modeled courage or soul definition for you, or someone who didn't, and it still shaped you?
There are so many people who model courage for me. It's hard to even just pick one. I think I really love Kim Scott a lot. She is such a pioneer in our space. She wrote Radical Candor, and really this book changed me fundamentally. It taught me a lot about who I wanted to be as a leader. She broke from a lot of the codes that were out there in management and leadership books. And I feel like she really tried something new and tapped into a very personal audience for her. So she's was very brave to do that and really inspired me a lot. I really, really admire her a lot. And then maybe like today, there are a few product leaders that are women that I just really love and really connect to and feel so proud of them and so inspired by them. And I can name a lot. So I'm going to drop a few names. I really, really love Stephanie Lue. I'm mispronouncing her name. I think that she's really got the chops and she knows what she's talking about. And she's really fun to talk product with. And she knows so much. And what she puts out on LinkedIn is just maybe like scratching the surface of what she knows and can do. I really love Nesreen Shongel. She has a great new book out, Product Alike. Go get it. It's a really fun read, but also really loved when she talks about functional and emotional drivers. This stuck with me so hard in thinking about what pleases and what delights and what the expectations are in terms of experience. And I really feel that it's critical to think about. It's not something we can gloss over. So I really feel like she was brave in not going down a path of let's do AI, but instead let's talk about delighting people and what does that look like and how do we get there and how do we know that we're doing it? I feel like that was incredibly brave of her to choose that path when she could have written an AI book and like maybe tripled her sales. Maybe she still will. But in any case, I thought that was really brave and really useful and valuable. Who else? There's so many I want to talk about. Really, really, really a huge fan of Lovable and the female leaders there. I think that they're breaking ground, and obviously that's like a pretty male environment too. So I'm glad to see women leaders sort of taking up space and growing that space. I think that that's really important. And if I were to maybe name one more, I am a huge fan of Léa Tarin because this is a woman after my own heart. She tells it like it is. She is so high value and so to the point, and she makes points that I think a lot of people gloss over. And she's incredibly brave in the way that she bucks, classical responses to things. And she just like, this is what I think and this is why. And I think she's right most of the time. I'd be hard pressed to find a time when she said something and I'm like, I don't agree with that. I almost always agree with her because she makes sense and she has the experience and the know-how to back up what she says. So those are all, I name only women on purpose because I feel like there's plenty of male inspiring people out there. And I really want to talk about women on this podcast. These are women that inspire me, that make me feel like this is a safe space where we can all be honest with each other and get ahead and help each other and grow with each other. And I love these women. They're awesome.
You mentioned that an early turning point was being given management responsibility early on. What did that moment change in you? Could you give a little more context?
Yeah. So I had never managed before. So it was very much like cutting my teeth and learning curve was high. There was no ops put into place. How product design engineering should function was not something that was documented. And so it was an opportunity for me to try things. And that was really useful and interesting for me. I think it was a learning curve that taught me something very important about change management, which is you're going to get it wrong first before you get it right. And that's okay. The funny thing about leadership for me was that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be telling people what to do and that there was going to be so much responsibility on me to get it right. And what it's actually about is listening to what people need and empowering them to do what they need to do and giving them permission and giving them support and opportunity and tooling. This is what leadership is about when it comes to people management. And the other big learning curve, I think, for me was through experiencing management from other people and feeling like I'm just a tool in this company. Like they don't care about me. They just want me to do a thing for them. And what I learned is I want to be the type of leader who helps people grow their career. And that requires me to understand what are they trying to do and who do they want to be? Who are they now? And who do they want to be later? And focusing on giving them opportunities that will grow their career path. And I think that this is really critical if you want a happy, effective team that also grows the skills that will grow the business. So I think investing in people is something that, managers try, but unless you are really listening to their career path and what they want, you're not really going to align the business goals with their people goals. So that was a big learning curve for me and something that changed the way that I thought about management, both from an employee's perspective and as a leader. For the first time, I was like, I'm going to grow these people and I'm going to listen to these people and I'm going to give them the opportunities that they want. I'm going to give them the training that they want. I always saw management of people as if I wasn't their manager, if I was their sponsor, trying to help them get the right next job, what would I tell them to do? And this is how I lead people. And I think that they really like it. So that was a great experience for me learning wise.
Yeah, I understand that. I have the same approach to leadership, and yeah, the retention is good, I can say. And it's a good feeling to see that the people are really fulfilled. They know they can trust you because you really know what they need, and you are here to support, uh, to provide some information, some training, etc. And I think like this is probably an unpopular thing to say, but I am proud when I see that someone becomes overqualified in the team and they move forward to another good position, another good role. It's not very good for the company. It could be if there is a position where this person can land, but oftentimes in like small startups with limited budgets, limited roles, like it's not the case. So these people flee to better opportunities. And I still feel that I did a very good job because like I invested in this person's career.
I think as long as you're investing in growth, you're doing the right thing. And I always try and align the people and the business as much as I can. At Usersnap, we've had several people move into new roles since I've started. So people that were in one department move into another. And just the cross section of those skill sets has been wonderful for the impact that they bring. It's great. So I really do believe that that has a huge benefit, especially when people cross pollinate skills. That's really fantastic. In my experience as an employee, but also in my experience as a manager, I've seen people just like wow me with how they can anticipate things that we didn't even go over. So there's great learning opportunity, and it's hard, but there's also so much you bring from your past experience that makes you a better person at that role. So I really am a huge fan of internal mobility and internal growth. It's served us so well. I'm really, really proud of the people in our team who have grown into new roles and taken on new, bigger responsibilities, like first time managers. We have several in the team that are like learning how to do this, and to see them succeed and grow is so enriching for all of us. And I've seen people switch departments as well. And when you see people just like sort of engage and capture an entire new way of thinking about the business, and they bring along everything that they knew, this is amazing to see because you just watch someone blossom an entirely new skill set. And as a manager, like, I don't think there's anything more enjoyable than hearing people really enjoy their work. Like, this is fantastic. This is what everybody wants. It's the dream to be able to say, my team members are happy and performant and they love their job and they love what we do and they love our team. Like, this is the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. You also shared that you were once refused a promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Could you
more than
tell more? Yeah.
once. um, I'm trying to like pick a story to tell.
Uh,
There's so many. I think I'm just going to tell stories that highlight my failures because I think that that's the best way for people to learn. So I think first failure, maybe not reading the room. If you're in a larger company, there's some amount of brown nosing and schmoozing and politicking that you're going to have to do. And I'm not I'm terrible at that. I really just like to be honest and I really just like to be me. And I'm not good at trying to conform to someone's view on leadership. I really believe that if you're going to be in that environment and you're trying to get into a larger company, politicking is a part of the game that you have to play. And I should have realized sooner that like this wasn't for me. And I think that that was maybe a big limiter to my growth in some places. Another one is maybe just not recognizing the environment well enough as well. And they go hand in hand. Like being in an all male team, like, yeah, of course I wasn't gonna get the same promotions that they were. Like that's a red flag. That's a signal that this environment doesn't favor you, you know? And I was always, I think, naive and just like, what's wrong with me? What am I not doing? And why do I suck so bad? But like really maybe it was a bit the environment that I was in. And I do often hear this from women, especially in the French, tech space. Like, why can't I get ahead? Often communication is cited as an issue. And I'm just like, yeah, we don't always talk like a man would talk. I get it. That doesn't mean we're wrong or bad. It means that we have a different communication style sometimes. And it's not always about women trying to adapt to men. Sometimes men should adapt to women. If we're really in an equitable society like we aim to be, that should be the goal. But that's not the reality, right? So the advice in those situations is if you want to succeed, you have to get good at connecting to men on their level and you have to act like them. You have to talk like them. You have to be willing to mask. That's my takeaway in those bigger environments. And that's why they didn't suit me so well and why I toiled for such a long time because it just wasn't for me. And I should have just been like, nah, this isn't for you, Shannon. But I persisted and was like, no, I'm going to make it. I'm going to do it. But I'm going to do it on my terms. Like the empathy in me should have signaled to me sooner that like, that's not what they want. That's not what they're looking for. And I think that was a big failure that didn't help my career grow for a really long time. And if I'm going to categorize a couple of other things that I did really wrong and not well, I would say in the French environment, changing roles a lot is seen as really bad, and not having the right education is seen as really bad. So coming from like a small school in Wisconsin is just not going to get you anywhere here. And changing around from engineering to design to project to product to program to CS support, like getting the lay of the land in multiple fields, terrible perspective for product leadership. They're like, you? Why you? You have not done this and this and this and this and this. You won't know anything. No way. And that's partially true. Like there was a lot when I applied for my first product leadership roles that I didn't know. a lot. But the truth is that everyone going into a product leadership role for the first time is going to be an idiot. They're going to be a noob. That's what you sign up for. You sign up for mentoring and sponsoring when you hire someone into a role and it's their first time in the role. So, doing that in France is not really advised. You have to work your way up the food chain and deliver a lot of credit above you, and you not really own your achievements, but rather brown nose your way up the ladder. And I found that incredibly demeaning and sad. So like, should have known sooner that wasn't going to lead to my growth, and it stopped me actively from having many promotions that I probably could have gotten if I had changed my attitude a little bit or my way of thinking about it a little bit. So I really feel like I failed myself, but I was also being true to myself. So it's a win and a failure. I was me, but I lost out on a lot of leadership opportunity because I was me, instead of just realizing, like, yeah, I probably shouldn't go the corporate route. I should probably stick with like startups and just try and be in smaller orgs where I can be a leader in my own way and not have to be a leader in their way, doing a lot of things that I don't agree with or believe in, and hurting teams. And I've had people tell me, like, you must tell these people they have to work nights for free and not be paid. I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, no. Um, like, me refusing to be a bad leader on multiple occasions held back my career. So regrets, but no regrets at the same time. So I think that that's a trade-off some people decide to make, and it wasn't one that I was willing to make. And it's like I failed in my growth trajectory because of it.
Returning to communication, acceptance, etc., issue in like male-dominated companies. I've had a bit of a different like experience and a different angle. Because I don't find my approach like classically feminine. I would say that in professional communication, I lean towards masculine like approach and being direct, you know, but it doesn't help because I think that the system runs on bias of familiarity. So, if you are a woman, they expect you to fill the box of the woman if the woman is sort of accepted role in this. But when you are a woman, but you also do not act the way that traditionally accepted, it's also becoming an issue. It's also like triggering an unfamiliarity alert. It's the same problem.
So you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah, there's no right thing.
Oh my
No
god, you
right
can't
way.
can't win. No, I think that's so fascinating to me what you just said, because it tells me really that it's systemic. And if you go into an environment and you feel other, like, listen to your guts. You probably won't grow and you probably won't get career opportunities in that environment because they're subliminally sending you the signals like, you're not what we imagine you to be. Um, and so we're not gonna like you. And most of promotion is likability. So I think you're probably smarter than me in that you have taken a tactic on the way that you talk, which I think is 99% of the battle. Just like using numbers, using politics, using consensus as a tool in some of these very political environments can be a great way for you to learn and get ahead. Like, knowing you a little bit, I can see that you would benefit from those tools, and you would know how to navigate those things in a more intelligent way than I did. And so if I'm going to give any advice to listeners, it would be, be more like Yev. Go out there and listen to the way people talk and try to talk like them if it's not going to like harsh your vibe too much, or dim your soul, or whatever phrasing you're comfortable with. If it doesn't hurt you, do it, and learn how to swim the way the other fish swim in the right direction. Be a part of the school. And I think if you can harmonize in that environment that you want to grow in, your chances of likability and familiarity, to use your word, that really is a good word. Likes like. So if you can fit in, your chances of getting promoted, I think, will go way up. If you are good at politics, if you know how to power map, if you can blend in and meet the right archetypes, and you're good at your job, like, those are the boxes to check. People like you, people trust you, people are familiar with your way of being, and you are effective at solving the right problems, then promotion will follow. I'm laughing at myself and all the ways I didn't do all of those things. I focused on effective, like do my job really good and everything else will follow. It's just such bullshit. That's not how it works.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Being through quite a lot of company and position changes, I think fitness, like where you actually like feel comfortable, if you have a choice, to choose something where you fit well from the very start. I think this is really something to lean in, maybe not run towards the title, maybe not run towards some company brand, but towards where you feel you really fit, where you know that teams and leadership are people that are like-minded. I think that this really contributes to how easy it is for you, how much fun you have at work.
Agree. I also think it's so hard because companies lie. They just flat out lie. These are our values. Like, come on. So many companies don't live those values. I mean, we really, really do. But it's because I kind of force it. I was like, this is not our values. We're not doing that. Right. But I think a lot of companies are giving it lip service only. And so you don't find out until later. So you got to listen to your guts early in that first 2, 3 months. Your guts will tell you this is right or this is not right. And look at who gets promoted and look at who has power very early on if you want to know what's going to fit into that box. And I can think about like some of these jobs where I didn't get promoted and I didn't succeed. And I would look at it, I'd be like, really? That's the top person? Weird. And I should have listened to myself in those moments. I just dismissed it as I'm not enough or I'm not the right thing when really that's true, but it's true because I didn't fit their box. I wasn't the right person for them in that case. And I kind of knew it, but I thought it doesn't matter because I'm so good at my job, I'll be fine. And it really does matter. So if you are in it for longevity and you want to climb the ladder at that company, fit is so important. And you can also do what I did and just be like, couple years here, 4 years here, um, and try to move where you want to learn. That was always what drove me. If I was like, oh, this sounds like such a great learning opportunity, like that was where I went every time. I've never taken a job that I didn't feel like, ooh, this is new and hard and I haven't done that before. Let's go do it. That was always the motivation. And I really love it. Like, it's so exciting and fun for me. But I think it's very scary for a lot of people. So maybe if you want to find a comfort zone, like don't follow my career path at all because you will never have it. Is the short and long of it. But I do think like early stage product managers, I will always give the same advice. Try to get into a big company because that will be your best credential to getting your next job. Not only will you probably get good training, you'll probably be in a semi-safe environment. As a low-level person, a junior, you don't threaten anybody. And so a lot of the corporate politics won't hurt you too bad. And it's a great way to get the right name on your resume so that you can actually open doors later. So early stage PMs, go to those big companies, be pro, but like try to fit in and use that as a ladder to the growth that you want to have later. And now, if I think about my career, like that was definitely a misstep that I had. Like I didn't do that. And I regret it. I had opportunities, didn't take them. Should have, because I didn't think I was the corporate girl. But like early in your career, it doesn't matter. Be the corporate goon, like whatever. Do it because it's great for later. It gives you credibility in the eyes of people who are going to judge your resume only and not your potential, which is all of Europe. um, Yeah, that's Americans judge on potential and Europeans judge on resume. So I think that's another good takeaway around growth and promotion to think about. Where are you in your stage? Later stage, go for experience, go for knowledge. Early stage, go for the name, go for the title. If you're in the middle, shoot, if you're in the middle, I would still try to go for the name and title, even if it means taking a pay cut just because it will open those doors later. That was the opportunity to take. Just a little tinge of regret here. Probably should have done that. Probably should have taken that more junior role, that lesser amount of money, even though I had the knowledge and the experience, I should have done it at a bigger company because I probably could have moved up really fast. And I was like, no, I don't want to be a junior again. Like, I've been doing this forever. Like, I don't want to go down, you know, 4 grades on a pay scale. I should have done it for a year. I should just sucked it up and done it because not only would it probably have been a good experience, but like I could have had a faster time growing and getting into other leadership roles.
Yeah, makes sense. So then there was a moment when things aligned and you were given leadership for the first time. How did you step into this role? Did anything surprise you?
Um, I think I fell down through my first leadership role. I don't think I really stepped into it. I think I learned that um, it's important to be a collaborator and a peer more than a boss, and that's critical path to growing the company and the people in the right way. But when I think about like later leadership opportunities that came up, I think that that was maybe a time when I felt a lot. This is where Stephanie's advice hits me every time. Every time I think about what she said at Product at Heart last year, she said everybody has this curve where you go into this role in leadership and you're like, I got this. I'm gonna do great. This is gonna be a piece of cake. I know how to do this. I'm good at this. And every time you get in, a few months in, there's always gonna be this sort of shakeup where you're like, oh, no, I don't have this. Oh, geez. And I think that she normalized that feeling for me. And I want to normalize that for all the listeners that that's the way that it is. You'll think you have it and then you're like, "Oh crap, I don't. I need to learn this or that." The humility should be an expected part of your process. And it's always a part of my process. And I think even going into Usersnap, I was like, I'm going to rock this because like I love product people. I love them. We are such an amazing group of people and I love the community and I'm so deeply connected to our work and the pains that we feel. And I was like, I'm going to kill it because like this is my jam. And we did. We had great success this year. It's been amazing. Really hitting 47 on Rule of 40 for me is a real highlight, like seeing the business turn around and turn a corner and, you know, have real results that are great for the first time in a while. This to me is very successful as much as it is seeing our internal NPS be super high and seeing our CSAT super high. And like all these indicators are great. At the same time, I definitely still feel like a noob. I definitely still feel like I'm growing and learning. There's so much that I am making mistakes on and learning through, specifically like strategic decisions that I'm like, yes, this is the one, this is it. And then like 2 months later, be like, actually, it's just a little bit more in this direction. And it's okay. It's okay to do that as long as you're not completely shifting the entire pivot of the company. So like we always had a direction and it kind of like had a range and we kind of would go like this within that space, like learn, learn, learn. And every time we learned something, it shifted a little bit the focus after, several months. So I think it was really good for the products and it brought about the right iteration on some of these features that we were building. So it's okay to be unsure of yourself. It's okay to change your mind. And that was a big learning for me going into leadership. I always thought leaders had it all figured out and always knew. And like the big wake up call for me taking on a C level for the first time is like, you think you do until you don't. And then you have to make the hard choices of how much to adapt or how much to pivot. And it's risky, it's scary. But if you do the evidence work first, like if you do your research, if you do your homework, if you do the hard work, or if you have great staffers like we do at Usersnap who help you with that, then I think you can really walk with more confidence into those leadership roles. There's a lot of different failures that come to mind, but the end learning for me is as long as you don't completely pivot too much, it's okay to change your mind because you will end up iterating based on what you're learning, and that's usually the right thing to do.
Was there a moment you almost walked away from your path?
I think I did walk away from it several times. I have walked away a little bit regionally. I don't feel like I'm a good fit sometimes for French corporate leadership. I think I'm just not the right mold for that. So for a long time, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this work for me. And I walked away. I'm just like, no, I need to stop doing that. Like, it's not for me. And they're not going to be happy with me, and I'm not going to be happy with them. So, like, stop trying. Know when to quit, I think was a hard lesson for me because I didn't want to believe that it wasn't for me. But sometimes you're just not the right person for those things. So I think I learned that. And so I did walk away from that. I walked away from engineering as well. And part of me is still grieving that. Like, engineering is so fun. And I really love engineers too. They're amazing, brilliant, creative people. And it's so gratifying building things. So that's tough, but I do think it's the right thing to do. So those are two times I did walk away from something.
Was there a moment when things almost fell apart or when you had to make a really hard choice?
So one difficult decision was to leave a job where I had a leadership opportunity because there was harassment involved. And that was just really uncomfortable. And I decided that I would rather uh, not have a job than have my work life be chaotic and unpredictable and uncomfortable. And I don't regret that decision, but my career did fall apart for a little while. Like, it was tough because like there was nothing that I could do in that situation. There wasn't any HR or any kind of support that I could use to get things back on track. I just had to kind of be like, well, I quit. And when you leave a job and you don't have anything lined up, like that's just incredibly uncomfortable and it's incredibly destabilizing, and being harassed in any job is destabilizing, let alone leaving your job because of it. So I do think, I had to leave. I could not stay in that position. And it was the right decision, but everything fell apart because of it. I lost job opportunity. I lost salary. I lost really my growth opportunities that I was trying to get. I lost credibility. Like, people are like, why did you leave this job so soon? I was like, well, uncomfortable situation with leadership. And there was harassment and there's nothing I could do about it. And they're always like, whoa. And it kind of scares people off from you. So like that was a really hard time in my career. And I really empathize a lot with anyone who has ever been harassed and had to leave because of it. It does turn your life upside down for a while.
Have you ever had imposter syndrome or felt like an outsider? And what did you do with it?
Puppy has joined us for the question about imposter syndrome. I feel like I'm not a good puppy mom right now. No, I'm just kidding. So I do think that imposter syndrome is extremely common in women, especially. And in my case, it took a few forms. Like, when I was in engineering, I didn't feel like I knew enough technical things because like I hadn't engineered for a while. And even though I was a good leader and I was able to find the right problems to solve and get them solved, I always felt like I wasn't good enough. So that was kind of tough. In the product space, I definitely felt like I didn't have the right education. I didn't have the right background. I didn't have the right names on my resume. I didn't have the right leadership style. There were so many ways that my imposter syndrome manifested and just made me really not a confident person. And I do think that optics really matter. When I started to grow, I had a manager who's like, optics, Shannon, like how you are perceived really matters. And, he taught me a lot about how to be more confident in myself, how to appear more confident, even if I didn't feel it. And I feel like that whole fake it till you make it thing is actually real when it comes to imposter syndrome. Because when you feel uncomfortable, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not good at your job. It just means you lack confidence. And you have to sort of put that out there in order for people to believe in you. And when people believe in you, they will give you the opportunities that you deserve. And then you will have the successes that you are hoping to have. And so the confidence comes. You just need to do the work first in order to really feel it. So half of imposter syndrome is partly because you don't feel like you're good. And sometimes you're really not because you haven't done the work. And that's a real thing. Like, sometimes imposter syndrome is a real signal that you're just not yet good enough at your job. And you need to work the angles that give you that experience, and that will help you. But other times it's just because you're unsure because you're in a system that's telling you you're not good when you might actually be great. So it's about reading the room and knowing which system you are in. Are you in a system that is not supporting your growth? And so they're trying to make you feel less than, and that's generating your imposter syndrome. And you can generally tell, the way that I can tell if I'm in that situation is my results are great. I'm getting the job done. I'm seeing the impacts that I want to see, but I still feel like a failure. I still feel like I'm not good enough. Then it's probably a systemic problem. And if you are not seeing the results and you feel like an imposter, then you probably have a skills gap or a knowledge gap or some other gap that you need to work on and fill. And I've been in both of those situations. So now in hindsight, it's about what were the results and how did I feel about them that tell me if I'm having real imposter syndrome or if I'm just not good enough at the job yet.
Yeah, that's a good insight. Have there been moments when you felt pressure to be smaller, quieter, or more convenient? And how did you navigate them?
All the time. Luckily now I don't feel like I have to do that. I feel much more empowered to be myself in the workplace than I ever have before. But in most of my career, that wasn't the case. So the way that I navigated it, which is probably wrong and I don't recommend, was just to be more me than ever and like not change at all. And just like if I wanted to be the meme queen, I was the meme queen, even though that was very, like in hindsight, it ruined my reputation in leadership. Like they don't want a funny leader, they want a serious leader. And so like me not paying attention to what was expected and not meeting the needs of what was expected meant that I just wasn't going to succeed. So I recommend read the room and read the power maps. If you want to succeed and you want to fit in, you have to know the codes and you have to follow the codes, more importantly.
How do you define success for yourself now versus when you started?
Success for myself now is the business growing and is it succeeding? And are my people happy? And are we solving real problems? Those are the three things that I look at. Success for myself in the past was really, am I hitting my numbers? Am I successful in the leadership that I'm trying to bring about? Or are all my projects failing? Like that kind of fail success rate was what I really looked at a lot. And I also looked at like how much am I liked in this environment? I think that there was like two ways of looking at it before: how well am I delivering? And now I'm much more outcome driven. How good are my outcomes? And I think looking at it from business, people, products, that's always the way that I do my QBR reporting. Is the business growing and thriving? Are we having good retention? Are we having good growth? Are we having good revenue? From the people side, are they feeling effective, nurtured, supported, safe, happy? And from the product side, are people satisfied? Really, really, really important one from the product and feature level. Are we launching features that are satisfying people's needs in this very competitive market? And looking at the growth, adoption, and success of those different launches, and are they really having the outcome that we want from the product on those lagging metrics as well? And if all three of those things are lining up, then I think I'm doing a great job. And before, I always felt very lost, like how to measure my success as an IC in some of those systems that just weren't for me. It was like no matter how good I did, it just didn't matter. So it's really a tricky question to answer earlier in my career. I would say I probably was doing a good job on a lot of things and it didn't matter. So the transparency of success was not something I could obtain.
Yeah, that's very clear. What's the bravest choice you've made in your career or your life?
Probably just continuing to try to be upfront and honest and to prioritize people over everything else. I will always do that. I don't like the feeling that someone is trying to make a business successful at my expense. And I never want anyone that is in my leadership line to feel that way or in my company to feel that way. So I feel like it's a brave stance because sometimes it means that I will give people opportunities that other people wouldn't, or I will tell them hard truths that other people wouldn't, or I will disagree with things that other people wouldn't. And I do think it's kind of brave to dissent and to allow people to dissent. That's also kind of brave. I don't think a lot of people are comfortable with having their colleagues tell them, I think you're wrong. I think this is a hard thing for leadership to hear. especially when you have a strong conviction. And my stance on that is, okay, let's definitely look into why my hypothesis is wrong. Like, can you tell me more? And I see it as a learning opportunity. And listening to your staff and learning from your staff is the best way to stay really close to them and to build trust with them and to drive the business in a way that you learn things from them when they see things that you don't. So, this is important to expand your horizons and accept that you're wrong. And I think it's something all leaders should do and can do, but a lot of people are scared.
How do you make decisions when you don't know how things will turn out?
I love a good plan. So that's tricky. Part of my risk mitigation strategy is overthink, overplan. And in products, this has a cost. When you have ambiguity, you're faced with two options: get more evidence or test and learn. And right now, given how for in the past, I'd say get more evidence was very, very important because the build was so expensive. And now in product as a test and learn is more important because you can get to market faster. But that also has its own risks. Using cloud code to build things means that your engineers lose touch with the architecture and the way and the reason why something is built in this way and not that way, and you remove from them that opportunity to think about how the puzzle pieces come together. So you might be able to work faster, but there is a real impact on the engineering team to doing that. So I still feel like the best thing to do is to have a good blend of both. You do the right amount of research investment and you do the right amount of build investment in order to find some learning. And that's how I mitigate the risk of not knowing how things are going to go. And I'd like also to have early signals and early testers identified for things. I love an early adopters so much. They're heaven sent because they will tell you a lot of things that you really need to hear in the early phase. Like if I think about a concrete example for Usersnap, we just launched our beta. And one of the really early feedbacks was we don't like AI tagging all of this stuff because we have our own method of tagging. And I was approaching it with these fresh eyes of like an end user first joining Usersnap and they don't like tagging stuff. And that's true. But then the reality for the existing customer is that they have their own tagging taxonomy. And this feedback coming early on really influenced the way that we were working and allowed us to generate a way to influence the AI tags.
What grounds you when things feel chaotic, and how do you recharge?
Such a good question. I'm going to be honest, I don't think I've figured it out yet. It's definitely an area where I need to learn more. I'm not good at taking care of myself, I guess would be the blunt way of putting it. I really feel good when others feel good. When my team is happy and my family is happy, I feel relaxed and I feel good. So I guess I can really feel like I can recharge when things are on the rails. And life isn't like that, unfortunately. Life doesn't just be like, I'm going to be on the rails now because you look a little tired, Shannon. That's just not going to happen. Life generally goes off the rails. Like you're tired. Your puppy kept you up at 2, 4, 6, 8 in the morning. You're going to do a podcast and there's going to be 3 people ringing your doorbell during this podcast. Like this is life. So maybe the best advice that if I were telling a friend how to deal with a tough situation that is stressing you out and you need to recharge yourself, maybe my advice to them would be, can you just sit down and give yourself 5 minutes and have a cup of tea or something and ask yourself this question: what do I need right now? Just today, not in 6 months, not for the business, not for my family, not for my growth. Just right now, what would bring me a little bit of peace? And then forgive yourself for not being productive in that moment and go do that thing. Give yourself 5 minutes to think and maybe 45 minutes. Good Lord, maybe even an hour if you really need it, if you're really feeling stressed. Take an hour and go do the thing that you need to do. Because the truth is, if you don't do it, your body will make you have it anyway. You will get sick. Something else will happen that will force you to stop. and recharge. So incremental recharge is the best way if you want to avoid burnout. And I'm not someone who feels burnout very much, but like it hits everybody once in a while. If I've been doing, 80-hour weeks, after like week 3, if I have any kind of illness or any kind of sleep deprivation, like burnout's going to hit me and I'm going to have to take some time off. So I do try to really disconnect on the weekends. That's really important. I try not to miss dinners ever. Dinners and breakfasts are super important to me with my family, and that recharges me. That makes me feel grounded. And I think that's really good, putting work in its right perspective of it's important, but it's not the only thing in life. This will help keep you balanced and less likely to have burnout or other major stressors.
Right. For someone listening and feeling stuck, what's one thing they can do today?
I would say look at your environment and look at yourself and see how much those two things align. If you are very different than the environment that you are in, if the people who succeed act, look, talk, work differently than you do, you're probably not in the right environment. And I would look at that first. So map the power structures. Who is winning? What is making them a winner? And put those puzzle pieces together and then look at yourself. How much do you match to that? And I think that that is a really good indicator of if you're going to stay stuck. And if you match that environment really well and you're still stuck, then take a closer look at yourself, your performance, your skills. Are you supported in the environment that you are in? Do you have a sponsor to help grow your career? And I think that those are the two things that I would do. If it's not them, it's you. And look into yourself and how do you grow yourself?
Right. What's one puzzle piece you've collected in your own journey, a truth or lesson that clicked everything into place?
Never stop learning. Don't assume that you know everything. This is a mistake. This is how you become an asshole. So just always assume that you don't know everything. Always assume that the people who in your team are telling you this isn't working, assume they're right is a good thing to do. I think trust your gut as well on strategy. If you have been around for 20 years and you've seen a lot and done a lot and you're like, oh, this is really becoming an obvious thing, trust it. There have been things that even today, I was having a conversation with our head of growth, and she was like, I think that this was kind of obvious. And I'm like, that was obvious. Why did we do more research on this when it was so obvious that that was it? And I realized it's because I didn't trust myself. It's because I didn't listen to myself. And I knew it. And yet I still was like, let's go find out. I knew it. Sometimes when you know, and you don't need, especially with, and what I told her today, maybe, which is worth sharing, when it's iterative projects, your knowledge is already so high that you don't need to do so much research. Just like go do the thing, test and learn, do small investments, and make that your process of learning. When it comes to innovation, bringing new value about, then you probably should do some research and you shouldn't be so dang confident in what you're doing. So I think depending on whether it's an internal audience, an external audience, or a known audience that is already a customer, or a prospect audience, or a thing that exists versus a thing that you're creating new value around, how much investment you need to do to feel confident and sure of yourself is going to change. And you need to take those factors into account when you're moving forward. But I think always learning and knowing how much learning to do are the two things that have helped me the most in my career.
What's the next chapter you're stepping into, and how are you feeling about it?
I'm definitely sticking around Usersnap for as long as they will have me. I love this place. I love these people. I love this job. I want to do it for a good long while. So right now, really, I'm just looking to keep growing into my role in C-level, keep learning, make fewer mistakes. That'd be great. And also kind of just keep learning about this field and its people and how I need to work with them and learn from them.
Where can people connect with you or your work?
People can connect with me on LinkedIn. That would be great. Easy way to find me there.
Who is one woman you'd love to hear on This Is Hers, and why?
Anyone that I named before, Nazreen, Stephanie, Bushra, I didn't mention her, but she's great too. She's advising us on Usersnap. Leah, good Lord. There's so many people that I really respect and admire. Oh, Andrea Sayers, she's awesome. She's very smart. She wrote a really good product management book. I love her. I think those are my top ones.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story so honestly. It will definitely be very useful for women who are navigating career decisions, and have some big career aspirations. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, for your time and energy and patience with my puppy, and also for allowing me the chance to talk to you today. It's been great fun.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for me too. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow This Is Hers on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or our social accounts. And also, please leave a comment. It helps us reach more people who need to hear these stories.